passport.
No, so I'm David, Dr. David Coe, my mum Eleanor. So we're reading my book, Thriving at Nature's Pace. It's a new approach to climate change, and you can read the whole playlist. I've been reading it with mum, and I'm almost finished. So you can start from the beginning of the playlist. Is on a link that's in the comments. So on in the description. So please have a look at it and do follow us all through. And my mum was just asking me whether I found my passport because I couldn't find it. And I was meant to go with my wife to my friend's birthday party. Unfortunately, it meant I couldn't go because she was in Paris. I live in London. Uh, so I had a nice quiet weekend here when my wife went and had a really lovely weekend in Paris. And I now I've looked everywhere, Tom, so I'm going to look everywhere again. And then if I can't find it,
Maybe
cancel it.
it's in her handbag.
I've tried a handbag. I've tried the fridge. I defrosted the freezer, so it's not in any of those. Well, we'll see what we can do. But anyway, so back to the book, chapter 22. It's about decommissioning the oil and gas and coal infrastructure. So the book is about the idea of Thrive coins, which is a new digital currency made by leaving oil and gas and coal in the ground. And the idea is that it leaves people the choice of what to do with oil and gas and coal. Each barrel equivalent of these materials, when they are still in the ground, is worth a few dollars to the owners who own them. Mostly those are governments. And the idea is that businesses can actually partner with the governments and individuals as well as communities and work out a plan where they can they can actually buy the ownership at a barrel at a time in a contract I call a Thrive contract. This gives them the ownership, and that's you and me and my mum, and we can then decide what we want to do with it. We can hang on to it, see if it goes up in price or not. We can sell it for people to extract or other people to wait, or we can actually return it to nature. And in return for that, we get a Thrive coin, which is a new digital currency. So this does several things. For one thing, what it means is that if you're a local business, a community, or even an international global business, you can actually basically make money in this new currency from it. And you can use it between yourselves and for your ventures and things. So that allows the idea that you can actually leave oil and gas and coal in the ground, have a new currency and use that new currency to innovate about what you can do without using the oil and gas and coal that would still be in the ground. And the other thing that happens is that, of course, this doesn't have to be the stuff that's being produced today. It can be the stuff that's produced in the future that we don't want to take out. And that allows us to carry on with where we are at the moment, go through this hurdle, and actually give us the incentive to do something about actually moving away from using them. So that's what it is. And of course, if you've done all that, what you're left with is this massive infrastructure for oil and gas and coal. There's over 100 million barrels that's being produced every day in oil that's used, and the infrastructure that supports them, and similarly in the coal and the gas, is the largest infrastructure in the world. And of course, if you just leave it, then what happens is all those oil wells and undersea pipelines and stuff and all of those, it's going to start leaking. You're going to be left with a horrible problem. So the idea is that dealing with that is something that we all have to think about. And that makes it into what I call global commons. And this last part here is about global commons. So here we go. Chapter 22, Decommissioning the Oil and Gas and Coal Infrastructure. There are many big elephants in the room that are not discussed in the climate change debates. One of them is who will pay for the decommissioning of the oil and gas and coal infrastructure. The oil and gas and coal infrastructure is the biggest industrial infrastructure in the world. The materials it carries are toxic. If the infrastructure is not decommissioned properly, it will create yet another mother of all environmental problems. This makes it a global shared liability. Such global liabilities should also be considered as global commons. Oil, gas and coal infrastructure is typically sold off before it reaches the stage where it needs to be decommissioned. This carries a high chance that the final owner will walk away from his responsibility. The aging infrastructure is like second-hand cars. The big fleets in rich countries move on to newer models, and the older models are sold. Smaller operators pick them up. The fleet moves down a ladder of ownership responsibility. The final owners dump them. As an example, an oil tanker Pablo exploded in 2023 off the coast of Malaysia. This was an old oil tanker. It had changed hands several times in recent years before this. At the time of the explosion, it was sailing under a Gabon registration. This registration had been supporting a growing shadow fleet of similar tankers carrying oil from sanctioned countries. The ship itself was registered as scrap after an earlier accident. That's how aging assets stay alive. Luckily, the tanker was empty when it exploded, otherwise it would have contaminated the sea with 700,000 barrels of oil. In comparison, the biggest oil spill from an oil tanker was 290,000 barrels. As for the owner at the time of the explosion, it was a shell company registered in the Marshall Islands. The company has no insurance coverage. Each company that buys oil, gas, and coal assets is incentivized to extract the most profits it can. That means walking away from the asset if it is more costly to decommission. In the final stage of this process, the buyers are increasingly anonymous. They know there is a liability they do not want to be responsible for, and the sellers do not want to be left with the liability either. They too become increasingly inclined to accept anonymous bids. Both buyers and sellers are happy to walk away from bearing the cost of decommissioning. The cost of any damage can be huge. The Keystone Pipeline leak in 2022 in the US released 14,000 barrels of oil. This is just 12 seconds worth of oil that the world consumes in one day. The cost to fix this was $500 million. The US Department of the Interior under the Biden administration passed a rule to require offshore oil companies to contribute to the decommissioning costs. Several states in the US are contesting this in court. This is end of 2025. On the international stage, there is no such court in any case that can pass a binding law. Companies themselves will go through bankruptcy to protect their financial interests. That is, when the time comes, they will strip the company of money and declare bankruptcy. It will then be the global citizenry that has to bear the cost. That means the only way to be sure that decommissioning is carried out is to ensure that the companies are transformed into corporate global commons. Transformation ownership can do this. So that's it for now. And from tomorrow we can go on about transformational ownership, which is how we can change these companies into corporate global commons. And that's probably a couple of days because it's quite long. So there you go. Okay, thank you everyone. So Mum, hopefully we won't be having oil spills everywhere. Although honestly, I'm not sure how it's going to go. But anyway, take care.
Yeah.
So bye-bye everyone.
Bye-bye.
And there it goes. It's going to fade.